Have you ever wondered why cats love sleeping right next to you, lying on your chest, curling up by your feet, or even insisting on climbing into bed with you every single night? A lot of people assume it is simply because cats like warm places. And that does sound reasonable. You are warm, the bed is soft, and sleeping together feels comfortable. But the truth is, most owners are only seeing the surface of this behavior. Because for cats, sleep is not just rest. It is their most vulnerable state. It is the moment when their defensive instincts are at their lowest. And if a cat chooses to sleep beside you, that usually means far more than just liking you. It can mean trust. It can mean safety. It can mean attachment. And sometimes it is even a quiet way for your cat to say, I only truly feel at ease when I'm close to you. And the more deeply you understand this behavior, the more you will realize that every place your cat chooses to sleep near you may carry its own meaning. 1. Your cat is not sleeping with you just because you're warm. This is the most common misunderstanding. A lot of people assume that a cat sleeps next to them simply because the human body is warm, and that is the whole reason. But if warmth were all they wanted, cats have plenty of other options. They can lie near a sunny window on the sofa, in a soft bed on freshly dried clothes, beside a heat source, or anywhere else that holds warmth well. So why do so many cats still choose to sleep pressed up against a person? Because what cats are looking for is not just warmth. It is warmth combined with reassurance. A place can be warm without being safe, but a place that is warm, familiar in scent, and does not make a cat feel alert or guarded has a completely different value. When a cat sleeps next to you, especially when they sleep deeply, curl up comfortably and let their whole body relax. That is often a sign that their brain does not see you as a threat. On the contrary, they see you as part of their safe zone. And that is something very special because cats do not give that kind of trust easily. 2. Sleeping next to you is an act of trust. To understand this, you need to remember one important thing. Cats are both hunters and animals with a very strong instinct for self-protection. Even if they have lived indoors for a long time, that instinct is still fully there. They still pay attention to unfamiliar sounds, unusual movement, and changes in their environment. They do not relax completely unless they truly feel safe. So when a cat chooses to sleep next to you, especially in a relaxed position with their back turned toward you, part of their belly exposed, or while sleeping very deeply, that is not random behavior. It is an instinctive decision. This person is safe enough for me to let my guard down. Many owners do not fully realize this because they are so used to having their cat around every day. But from the cat's point of view, this is a powerful sign of attachment. Because sleep is the moment when they cannot control their surroundings as well as they can when awake. And if in that vulnerable state your cat still chooses to stay close to you, that carries a very deep emotional meaning. San, your cat may see you as part of their safe territory. People often think of affection as something highly emotional. But for cats, affection usually begins with a sense of safety. Cats do not bond in the loud, obvious way dogs often do. They do not always run to greet you, cling to you openly, or show affection in ways that are easy to read. A lot of a cat's love is expressed through quiet presence. Sleeping next to you is one of those signs. When a cat regularly chooses to sleep with you, it may mean that in their mental map of the world, you are no longer just the person who feeds them or cleans the litter box. You have become a familiar part of their stable environment, a part of their safe territory. And this may sound simple at first, but it is actually very meaningful. For a cat, safety is not only about a place. Safety can also be a person with a familiar scent, a familiar daily rhythm, a familiar voice, a familiar touch. Someone whose presence is linked to calm, predictable moments. In other words, your cat is not just sleeping on your bed. They may actually be sleeping inside the sense of safety that you create. 4. Where your cat sleeps next to you can reveal a lot. Not every cat sleeps with you in the same way, and the spot they choose can sometimes reveal some very interesting things about their state of mind. If your cat sleeps at the foot of the bed, or near the end of the bed, this often reflects a bond with a comfortable sense of distance. Your cat wants to be near you, but still likes to keep an easy escape route. They trust you and enjoy your presence, but still want some control over their personal space. If your cat sleeps pressed close to your side, this usually suggests a higher level of comfort. Your cat does not just want to share the same space, they also want to feel your warmth, your breathing, and your small movements more clearly. If your cat sleeps on your chest, stomach, or even your head, this is a very close and intimate way of sleeping. It is not only about warmth, but also about wanting to be in the center of the most familiar scent zone. On top of that, a human's heartbeat and breathing can sometimes feel steady, rhythmic, and calming to a cat. If your cat turns their back to you or exposes part of their belly while sleeping near you, that is usually a sign of relaxation. Your cat does not feel the need to keep watching everything around them. They trust that in that moment they do not need to stay prepared for danger. The important thing is not to interpret these positions too mechanically. Every cat has a different personality, but overall, the place your cat chooses to sleep near you often reflects their level of trust, their need for closeness, and the way they manage their sense of safety. 5. Sometimes your cat sleeps with you because they are looking for emotional regulation. This is a perspective that many people overlook. Cats do not only respond to physical space, they also respond very strongly to emotional atmosphere. There are days when a cat suddenly becomes more clingy than usual. They come up onto the bed and sleep closer to you, or they start off sleeping alone, then move over to lie beside you. A lot of people just see it as something cute, but behind that behavior there can sometimes be a need for emotional regulation. When the environment changes, when the house becomes noisy, when there is a stranger around a new pet, a disrupted routine, or even when a cat simply feels a little more unsettled than usual, they often look for the most familiar thing to help themselves feel steady again. And for many cats, that familiar thing is you. Your presence can feel like an anchor. You do not have to do much. You just have to be there. You just have to be familiar. You just have to be calm enough. Cats cannot say it out loud, but sometimes choosing to sleep next to you is their way of soothing themselves. 6. But sleeping with you is not always only about affection. This is where it is important to understand the behavior properly and avoid romanticizing every part of it. Some cats sleep with their owners mainly because they like routine. Some like the bed because it is soft. Some prefer nighttime because the house is quiet. Some enjoy places that are elevated, clean, and less likely to be disturbed. And some simply got used to it from a very young age. So no, a cat sleeping with you does not always mean they are expressing the deepest, most emotional kind of love possible. But that does not make the behavior any less meaningful. Because even when something begins as a habit, repeated comfort can still create attachment. For cats, things that happen again and again without causing stress or harm gradually become signals of safety. In other words, even if this behavior starts with convenience, warmth, or daily rhythm, the fact that your cat keeps choosing to sleep beside you over time is still a beautiful sign. It means that around you they do not feel the need to stay highly guarded. And for an animal as private and cautious as a cat, that is already a very powerful form of trust. 7. What if your cat suddenly stops sleeping with you? This is something that makes many people feel sad, and the first thought is often, maybe my cat doesn't love me anymore. But in most cases, it is not that simple. When a cat changes where they sleep, the reason can come from many different things. A change in weather, a different room temperature, getting older, joint pain, physical discomfort, stress, a change in the smell of the bed, a sound they do not like, or even changes in your routine that make things feel less stable to them. The common mistake here is linking every change in a cat's behavior to love or affection. But cats are far more sensitive to their environment than most people realize. If your cat no longer sleeps with you, the right response is not to force them to come back, and definitely not to feel heartbroken as if you have been rejected. What you should do is observe. Does your cat still seem comfortable? Are there signs of pain, restless sleep, avoiding touch, hiding more, eating less, or becoming more irritable? Has anything in the home changed recently? New bedding, a new scent, new noise, a new person, or a new pet? Very often your cat is not pulling away from you. They are simply reacting to a change that you have not noticed yet. 8. What your cat truly wants when they sleep beside you. In the end, the most beautiful part of this behavior is that your cat is not just using you as a warm pillow. What they are usually seeking is a combination of many things: warmth, familiarity, safety, stability, and the feeling that they do not need to stay on guard. That is why sleeping beside you carries so much emotional weight. Because in a cat's world, being able to sleep peacefully next to someone is a very special kind of privilege. It is quiet, it is not dramatic, but it is deeply genuine. If your cat often sleeps next to you, that may be one of the deepest forms of trust they know how to express. Not through human language, not through gestures that are instantly easy to understand, but through a very instinctive choice to stay close to you when they are at their most vulnerable. And sometimes that is your cat's way of saying, I do not need to keep watch when I'm with you. That is not just cute, that is attachment. If you have a cat who regularly sleeps beside you, try looking at that moment a little differently. Maybe what you are receiving each night is not just something adorable, but a kind of love that is very quiet and very real. If you found this video helpful, please follow the channel so we can continue exploring the deeper side of cat psychology, behavior, emotions, and all the quiet things cats are always trying to tell us every day.